Yes, folks, hello, welcome once again to MoDXtra Games and Collectibles. It's time for another action figure review here on the channel, and as you can see on the screen in front of you right now, today's installment is going to be taking a closer look at the Jada Toys Ultra Street Fighter 2 Sagat figure. So stick around, I'm going to give you all the ins and outs, ups and downs that you need to know about Sagat. So if you've been thinking about picking one up for yourself, you've got plenty of good content to make a purchasing decision around. I'm going to give you a quick run through of the packaging and the shelf presents for those who are minting box collectors, and then we'll get into the figure itself, talk about the aesthetic and the visual experience, talk about the articulation and posability, have a little rundown of the accessories and how much added value they bring, and when all is said and done, there should be plenty of thorough information that you can take a look at to know whether this is the figure for you. So let's get into it, and let's get started by travelling back in time and visiting past Chris as I share the box on the day it arrived on my doorstep. Okay then, folks, well, here is Sagat in box, arrived on my doorstep a little bit earlier today, and you can see it's the standard Jada Ultra Street Fighter 2 packaging motif with the the arcade machine box there. Got the heads-up display with the health bars, the joysticks and buttons across the bottom, like you used to go play in the old arcades back in the day. Little picky of Sagat in the corner there, his name, a little bit of legal bollocks and malarkey. I love this box, got a lot of flavour, a lot of character. I've said it before when reviewing the Jada toys. They're turning up over here on the shelves of our standard toy shops, like our high street retail toy shops like Smith's Toys and stuff. And these are just very eye-catching, very on-brand. Yeah, I'm really into it. And of course, we've got the big window on the front there showing off the figure and all the goodies and some Street Fighter 2 game-themed kind of backing card on it. Around the back, we've got a digital render showing off Sagat in action. Then we've got the character selection screen across the bottom, which is also showing off the characters that I suspect will eventually be in the entire line. We've already seen a fair number of these, either previewed or in hand. I've got a Ryu, I've got a Guile there. We've seen Fei Long, seen DJ, we've seen them buys. Anyway, we've seen a fair number of these, but many more to come, and there's been a chunk of them already previewed at some conventions and stuff over time. But yeah, nice back of the box there. Bit of animated style artwork on the side, a bit more animated artwork on the other side, and then a tiny bit of flavor text there with Sagat, country of origin Thailand, fighting style Muay Thai in various different languages. And there you go, there's Sagat in box for the mint in box collectors. So I'm going to go and crack this bad boy open though. I'm not a mint box collector. Going to get some good hands-on man-child playtime in, and future Chris will be back with some review thoughts to share, so stick around because he's going to be with you in 3, 2, 1. All right, folks, well, let's get started talking about the visual experience, the aesthetic qualities of the figure. Here he is head to toe as he came out the packaging with his stoic head and his closed punchy fists. We'll talk about the head swap and hand swap a little later on in the accessories and added value section. And as you can see, yeah, pretty consistent with the Jada Toys Street Fighter line as it stands so far. It's got that kind of computer game, cartoony aesthetic vibe to it, which of course is what they're shooting for, what they're aiming for with the look of the overall line. Yeah, let's get into it. Let's take a closer look. Bringing him a bit nearer to the camera, then we can conduct a bit of a closer inspection of the finer details. I'll start by talking about the head sculpt there. Solid head sculpt, good facial features, good contours there. We've got the chin, got the big bold head, got the eye patch, those kind of key visual identifying features, as well as a couple of scars there on the neck and then across the top of his head here. It's a bit soft around the edges. Yeah, again, they're going for that cartoony computer game style aesthetic, so it is a little bit soft around the edges, but there's good, you can see sort of a bit of kind of colour tone in there. The paint application across the eye patch is nice and neat and tidy, although there are other areas where it's a little bit sloppier compared to what we've seen in the past, but I'll talk about that in a sec. The ear shape is good, around the back here, so it's kind of smooth. There's no kind of that bold head fold thing around the back here, because again, it's a computer game character. It's not aiming for a certain level of realism, but the eyebrows, then the paint application on the eye there is good, with that little kind of black outline on the white eyeball. So yeah, overall the facial features are good, immediately identifiable as Sagat. Got those kind of key visual identifying features that we know and love from the game. Moving further down into the body, we can see the musculature, is that kind of over-the-top, superhuman type of musculature, again, that we identify with the game. He's got his big scar across his chest from the Ryu Shoryuken across the chest there, and the scarring's got sculpted details in there, and is that darker colour against his skin tone, which is lovely. And then you can see sort of bulging muscles and veins across the arms and things, just making him look kind of unnaturally massive. And in terms of clothing, we've got the wraps around his wrists and his ankles, and of course his Muay Thai shorts there. The wraps are good, sculpted detail again. Not much of a wash across them though, so they're quite white. They're very bright white. You can see under my studio lighting there that it's standing up. There's a little bit of stuff in there, but it's still quite vivid. Again, I think that's an intentional choice because they're kind of going for the that kind of bright computer game aesthetic. But when you put him next to the likes of Ryu, who's got a kind of a sort of faded look in his white gi, it does stand out. But there's lots of other lovely sculpted details. You can see the elasticated waistband across the top of his shorts. Got this little white patch on the front there with a paint application on it, and a stripe down the side here. Creases and folds to give it a bit of textured detail. And then you can also see a little bit of fabric texture design in the shorts too. So there's definitely some depth there. It's not two-dimensional, even though it's that 3D aesthetic that's trying to recreate a two-dimensional character for sure. I mentioned about some sloppy paint apps. You can see on the edges of the fists here where the wraps are, and the pink skin tone colour has spilled out, and so the whiteness on the edges there is missing, and then a couple of the stripes down the sides of the shorts are a little bit sloppy in places. I've got a few little red spots just here on his shorts. It was that side, just here kind of spilling out the edges of this red stripe, which is a bit of a shame. Carrying on down though, you can see the kind of thigh section of the shorts. Got a nice little bit of bloomage. Nice bit of short bloomage there with a bit of flow and dynamic to them, which is nice to see. And then into the legs, we've got the musculature that's continued from the top with a nice matching skin tone from the upper limbs and the upper torso down into the legs. And of course, he's got his fat kickboxer thighs in there as well. And then the wraps around his ankles and his feet, like I mentioned before, around his wrists. These do have a little bit more of a wash on them, which gives them a little bit more of some texture, some depth there than they do around the wrists, so they're not quite as striking white, and give it a little bit more flavour. Although one thing I did notice was the heel is a paint application at the back here. The sculpt of the wrap doesn't seem to it's not three-dimensional at this point. It's a minor thing, but if you're into that little bit of je ne sais quoi that sometimes the detail gives you, that's just a big skin tone splodge on the back heel. Toe sculpting looks all right, and I'll mention I'll get into the articulation a little bit later on. But yeah, overall, sort of that whole section in the middle there, which is your main sort of focus of colour, really, because there's no other opportunity, is really nice. He's a big guy as well. He's tall, When the box first arrived and I was looking at it, I was like, Jesus Christ, I paid the same price for this, 25 quid as I paid for all my others, and I'm getting a hell of a lot more figure. So he's got that extra height, he's broad, he's bulky, the book is suitably kind of large and menacing as well. So you're getting a lot of fig for your money there, and of course aesthetically, his height, it matches up with the height difference between Sagat and the rest of the characters as they appear in the game, which is really lovely to see as well. So overall, aesthetically, yeah, it's a thumbs up for Sagat. He looks just like the character would look. It's a wonderful realization of this two-dimensional video game character in the three-dimensional plastic form. They've added some depth, they've added some layers, but they've not gone over the top. They've not plowed in detail where detail isn't needed. It's twanging the nostalgia strings perfectly. I've not got much else to say. It looks like Sagat. It's a great looking Sagat. Scale's good, design's good. What more do you want? So yeah, absolutely a thumbs up. Good job, Jada Toys. All right, well, there's the visual experience, there's the aesthetic. Let's now take a closer look at the articulation and posability, shall we? All right then, folks. Well, I mean, the articulation is more or less the standard Jada Toys articulation. There are a handful of little kind of quirks to point out, but if you're all good on knowing the articulation and feel familiar enough with it, then please avail yourself of the timestamps, the chapters, and jump ahead to the accessories and added value. But if this is the first Jada Toys Ultra Street Fighter 2 figure review you have watched, or you want to know a bit more about those quirks, then stick around and I'll talk you through it. And getting started up top with the head here, it's a ball in the base of the skull, a ball at the bottom of the neck, which gives you decent down, fairly decent up, full 360 all the way around, and a bit of tilt there on the top of the ball. It's yeah, it's all right. It's not too bad at all. The up's probably yeah, it's all right, actually. I was about to slag the up off, but I've changed my mind live here in the moment on the camera. I'm ignoring my previous notes there. So yeah, good range of motion there. Then moving down into the figure, you can see you've got the butterfly joints there in the shoulder, giving you some shuffle forward and back. It's a peg and hinge in the shoulders, which means you can go all the way around full 360 and get them up into a T shape. Got the swivel there at the top of the bicep and tricep. Little double elbow that'll get you up to there. And then the pegged in wrists, so you can swivel all the way around in the wrist joint there. And then you can see there's a hinge forward and back on both the fists and on the hand swaps. Actually, they're all forward and back hinges on this guy. Just a quick note there as we're going along. I don't know if you're noticing it as I'm kind of manhandling the figure, but once again, silky smooth. The articulation is just wonderful. It's like loose, but in the right way. You know, it's loose, but just with the right amount of resistance. It's just perfect. So wonderful. It's just an absolute pleasure to articulate. That continues on down the whole figure, but I just wanted to point it out there now. If I don't know if you noticed it while I was sort of manhandling it, but just everything's just so, I don't know what they've done, how they've done it, but they are right out of the box. Perfect. Just silky smooth. Absolute pleasure. Anyway, carrying on with the rundown, we can see here that we've got the barbell joint at the torso and then the ball joint in the waist. So we can swivel and twist, give him lots of, wide range of motion there. And then just as I'm moving him, you can see that the scar goes all the way up on the sculpt there. So if if you're moving him around up and down like that, you've got some kind of continuity in terms of the aesthetic there. Yeah, but really, really good. Then down into the groin, it's the standard kind of leg hinge on the groin. It's good forward there. Incredibly good, Russian ballet splits, full-on Van Damme. One articulation observation here in the hip area. I think it's something to do with, so they've made an aesthetic decision around the shorts. Let me just make sure he's in focus. There you go. An aesthetic decision around the shorts here. And so the curve across this groin joint, when you look at other figures in the line, let's just get that shadow out of the way, it kind of goes a little higher up and sort of more into the sort of hip area here, whereas his sort of hip comes a bit lower, and then you got the leg joint, like he's pulled his shorts up really high onto his belly button there. But what it means is when you got him in a kind of kicking motion, it looks a little bit slightly off because of the way the shorts are. Only negligibly, a little bit, but it's just something I noticed when I compared him to some of the other Street Fighter 2 figures. Anyway, carry on down into the legs. We've got a thigh cut there, nicely disguised underneath the line of the shorts. Lovely pinless double knee, that'll get you up to there. Then a boot cut here, once again, nicely integrated into the figure at the point at which his little ankle wraps are. Great hinge and rocker on the ankles there. And then Sagat, for the first time in the line, I think, or certainly for the first figure I bought from the line, we've got the toe articulation in there as well, which is a nice little touch and added extra that makes a bit of sense because of some of the type of poses you want to do with him in his Muay Thai stances. Massive thumbs up to Jada Toys for the articulation here on Sagat. I shit you not a word of bullshit. I was playing around with him on Thursday night. He arrived on Thursday. I left him in a pose not dissimilar to this, and he was just sat on my desk in this pose, and I left him stood on the desk in this pose. Came back the following morning, still there. Cracked open my work laptop, started doing, a standard work from home day. Still like that by lunchtime. Still like that. He toppled at maybe 4 in the afternoon. He'd gone the best part of 18 hours straight, just stood like this, no issue at all. And that was even because I was using my mouse, my keyboard, and knocking the desk and stuff. It really is. Like this pose here now, I've just thrown it together to show you on the screen. I've not even had to faff about all that much. Just a little bit of finessing here and there, but I was able to chuck him into this single-legged kicking pose like that. No props at all. Really impressed. And, you know, pretty much every Jada Street Fighter 2 figure I picked up has been able to do the same. And then, just as I was saying before, just so silky smooth, so easy. Lovely. So it's a great articulation scheme. It's up to modern standards, but it's got an X factor as well, folks. Really impressed with that. Really impressed with that. Massive thumbs up. So there you go. There's the articulation and posability. Right, let's now take a look at the accessories and added value, shall we? And we'll kick the accessories off with the head swap. Here it is on the body there. Standard, peg in the skull, so you just pop it off and pop the new one on. It's the contour, the face shapes, the facial features, all as good as on the standard one out the box. But of course, as you can see here, the key difference is that we've got this kind of combat gritted teeth grimace thing going on, and a little bit more kind of look in the face. And you can see in the shape of the, down the cheeks there, of course, around the mouth, great paint applications on the teeth too, and a little bit more of a furrowed brow to just really kind of communicate that grr image. Yeah, lovely, great. I think I'll find myself using this one more often than the kind of standard stoic one. In fact, with all my Jada toys, I tend to go for the head with the sort of action head. But yeah, lovely, great. Always happy to have a head swap. Then we have a couple of hand swaps, the classic villain claw look there, which Marvel Legends tend to love so much. But yeah, one for each hand, although this is probably a little bit more like it's a combat palm punch or a skull crush kind of thing. So yeah, lovely. The wraps are nice. So you can see the sculpt is good. It's nice and proportional to the rest of the body, like the fists are. Still quite bright white here on the back, but that's fine. But yeah, nice fingernail details and stuff. So lovely. And great, helps you with your storytelling, opens up you all the possibilities with your posing with the two heads and with the hand swaps. Then we have the energy effect here, which I think we've seen that before or some similar design in the line. I'll double check in a minute. But this is the, what's it called? Is Tiger Blast? Tiger, oh God, brain fart. Tiger Shot? It's been a while since I played the game, folks. But yeah, you can see it's got this kind of red translucent look on it. In fact, I'll bring it closer. Yeah, you can see it's got the yellow and red kind of translucent pattern, got the sculpted sort of swooshy energy bits there, and then you can see it's got a little peg hole because it comes with the standard stand there that you can pop in the bottom, up in the bottom like so, and there you go. You've got a Sagat Tiger Shot coming at you. Let's get that in focus. There you go, Sagat Tiger Shot. So yeah, thumbs up on the accessories, absolutely. It's not an extraordinary selection, you're not overwhelmed with accessories, but they certainly open up your world of possibilities with posing and storytelling and display options and such like. There's certainly plenty enough in there for you to replicate some special moves and some, dynamic street fighting combat type stances and stuff. The energy effects are, coming as standard with them now. And when you consider, as I said before, the fact that I paid standard price for this, 25 quid, all told, well, with a bit of postage. And I'm getting all this figure too. He's a big chunky figure and those bits there as well. You can't complain. You can't complain at all. So would I like a little bit more? Yes, I would. What could that little bit more have been? Well, I don't know. Maybe another pair of hands. I don't know. But I'm greedy for accessories. We know that. Overall, it's good. And it's, I've done lots of different poses, lots of different stances with him. When I had a look at some special move images on Google, tried replicating them and could. So, yeah, what more do you want? It's a Street Fighter 2 figure. You want to make him look like he's playing Street Fighter 2, and you absolutely can with this accessory selection. So, yeah, thumbs up. A grade. All right, well, great. There's the accessories and added value. Let's take a look at Sagat next to a couple of other Street Fighter figures, shall we? Okay, the first one here is Sagat next to M. Bison, the only other villain I have in my collection. I think the only other villain from the game we've had so far, villainous boss type person. Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, good fit. You can see lovely villainous combat grimaces on their faces there, and that obviously illustrates the size difference in the characters as well. Here's Sagat next to Ryu, and you can really see the difference in the figure height there, just like in the game, you know. Here he is next to Cammy. Look at the size difference there. There's a little bit of perspective here, folks, because I've got my camera slightly higher, mounted higher and angled down on them, but Jesus. In fact, let's just stand them both up straight. There you go, straight, well, straight-ish, with the camera dropped down a little bit more face on, just to give you that real sense of how much he towers over the other figures, look. Yeah, very accurate scale to the way he was presented in the game. Okay, folks, well, here is Sagat doing a little 360 on the turntable, so you can see him all the way around, and while you're having a peek at that, I'll offer up some final thoughts, and I think the review speaks for itself. Another absolute banger from Jada Toys. Absolute banger. Amazing. Just, I think the sculpt's great. I think the articulation is fantastic. I mean, really fantastic. I would love to have a Batman in 6-inch scale that could do the things that these Jada Street Fighter toys could do. Can you imagine a Batman and a Nightwing and a Catwoman, or even on the Marvel side, like a Black Widow and a Daredevil and a Spider-Man that could do this shit? Just really incredible. For the price point as well. For the price point, absolute value. 25 quid straight up for all this figure, available on the high street as well. You know what I mean? Turning up in Smith's toy stores and what have you. Brilliant. Just brilliant. I can't rave about them enough. I think even if you're not a Street Fighter fan, you should pick up at least one just to experience that silky smooth articulation experience, and just to take a look at the kind of texture detail, run your finger across the texture detail on the fabric areas. You know what I mean? Brilliant. And Sagat's perfect. He's perfect. He looks like the character. He's big, beefy, menacing, domineering like the character. Massive bastard, you know. Articulates just how you want him. The added toe articulation is actually like a benefit, a beneficial addition. Just, yeah, brilliant. All right, that's enough. I'm going to stop raving. I highly recommend. Definitely a pickup if you're into this sort of thing, you know? All right then, well, I had to step away for a minute for a coffee and fit. I'm back now to say thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found that useful. If you did, give us a thumbs up, do the subscribe, do all the blah-de-blah stuff. But in the meantime, thanks for watching. And I'll catch you around these parts again for another video sometime soon. All right, take it easy, folks. Bye-bye now.